Today I'm showing you 5 ways my grandmother kept us warm through the colder weather. So in my cookbook, I have a very simple recipe. I called it Abuelita's Arroz Con Leche, and it's very similar to the way my grandmother would make it. The difference is that it was a smaller amount. This recipe is for 4 servings. Today, I'm going to change up some ingredients and make for more. So here I'm working with a 1.5 cups of medium grain rice. Use long grain if that's what you've got. And I am going to rinse this in cold water. Now I'll tell you, using medium grain rice as opposed to long grain gives you a bit more starchiness, and it does thicken a bit more. It's perfect for rice pudding, but again, this is arroz con leche. 4 cups of water going in with a cinnamon stick, and I'm going to cover with a lid and let that simmer for 10 minutes. I'm going to be using sweetened condensed milk, evaporated milk, and you could use whole milk, another can of evaporated milk. I had coconut milk, and it's unsweetened. Okay, so things are simmering. It smells great. So what I'm going to do is add the rinsed rice into the pot. I'm going to give that a quick stir, cover with a lid, and I'm going to cook that for about 15 minutes and let it gently simmer. You don't want high heat. You don't want to burn the rice. I am going to add a pinch of salt. Probably like a 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon works for this recipe. So now I'm going to cover with a lid and let it cook for 15 minutes on a low to medium low heat. And you'll want to offset the lid because it'll start to bubble and boil over and spill out of the pot, just like that. After about 15 minutes, the rice should be cooked through. And there still should be some water or liquid left in the rice. It's kind of soupy, but it is cooked through, and this is perfect. The starchiness of that liquid will help to thicken the arroz con leche when it's done. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is add all 3 of those milks. In a way, this is almost like tres leches arroz con leche. So evaporated milk and the sweetened condensed milk. By the way, if you don't have coconut milk or evaporated milk, just use the same amounts of whole milk. That also works. Okay, give that a good stir, and I am going to bring this up to a gentle simmer and continue letting it cook very gently for another 10 to 15 minutes. And at this point, you could add raisins, but I'm going to show you what I'm doing today. I've actually done this before, and my family liked it. So I'm taking some raisins, like a 1/2 cup, and I'm going to add a little bit of boiling hot water just to bring them back to life. These are really dry. I think I've had them for quite some time in my pantry. And after they soak for about 10 minutes, I'm going to discard the water. Now, you probably don't have to add the hot water, but my raisins were really dry. So now what I'm going to do is add some Calvados. This is a type of brandy into the raisins, and these are going to be brandy-soaked raisins. It's the perfect way to avoid the should you add raisins to the arroz con leche or not, because some people just don't like it. Now the second thing I like to garnish and add will be toasted nuts. I like pecans, so I'm going to toast some pecans. You can definitely add all of these things into the pot, but it also just makes it a bit more guest and family friendly when you just have different palates and tastes. Okay, this is a fail, but I wanted to add these all into the bowl, and carefully I'm just going to scoop this up, and they are kind of hot. And these are the garnishes: brandy-soaked raisins and toasted pecans. Perfect for a delicious small bowl or cup of arroz con leche, and it smells like the holidays. So this has simmered for about 10 to 15 minutes, and it's done. And don't worry, if this looks too soupy for you, let it set for another 10 minutes before serving. It'll still be hot, and it'll get really creamy and thick. Also, you can add a tablespoon of really good vanilla extract. That is an option as well once you get it off the heat. Here I have my coffee cup or mug, which is what I like to use to serve. You can be extra fancy and use stemware if you like, but coffee cups and mugs is what we grew up having this in, and it's perfect for the holiday season or just wintry cold days. It's so soothing and warm. And look at this, it's already thickening. And you can also garnish with some extra ground cinnamon if you like. It's so good. It's very similar to rice pudding once it sets. Okay, time for the garnishes. I am going to scoop some of the raisins that have been soaking in this French brandy. And also, you can add a little bit of brandy into the cup. It really elevates the flavor to this. And now the nuts. And this is literally the holidays, the winter season in a cup. It smells amazing. It's so comforting. And the brandy added to the raisins with the toasted nuts, it's just perfection. Let me show you 4 other ways that my grandmother kept us warm and fed when there wasn't much to eat, but she still wanted to make something. Here we have Atole De Chocolate. It's so good, and it definitely will keep you warm. Cinnamon stick. Quarter cup of cornstarch to 1 cup of water. I'm adding more milk. In all, 4 cups is what I've used. Okay, so I'm going to take my cornstarch water mixture, and I'm probably only going to use maybe half of it. So I'm going to go with half of it. Mix. Atole De Avena. This is one of my favorites. You can call this a drink or a meal because it is quite filling and it keeps you warm. This recipe comes out of my cookbook, and this is another way to make a delicious hot chocolate drink that can be filling. Lastly, we're going to make Atole De Elote. This is a Mexican corn drink. It's sweet, warm, and can be filling. It's one of my favorites. So there are different varieties of corn that have a higher starch content. So you would not need to add a cornstarch slurry to thicken it. It's just going to be starchy enough where it does create this like thickened porridge like drink. The viscosity is a lot thicker. So cheers. It stays hot for a long time, but it's so good.